Shalom, welcome to Tech Torah. I am Heath Hayes, and I wanted to know how many of you have read or listened to the Audible or what have you, the book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm maybe through, I think I'm on the 4th chapter, something like that. Anyways, this book, the principles within it are so incredibly simple, yet very profound. Just the benefit that implementing these principles within this book, the benefit that it would yield should be exponential. And it's kind of like, there's a statement in there that essentially says something along the lines of, and I absolutely love it. But the Father, He has chosen to withhold His judgment on the earth, right? For a time that is to come, right? But regardless, He's still withholding His judgment on the earth. Therefore, if the Father is withholding His judgment, why are we so judgmental? Why do we judge people without ever seeing things from their perspective? Without ever taking the time, we automatically jump in and think, oh, well, he or sees this and they did that and they hurt me and blah, 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 this and that and this kind of bullshit and that kind of bullshit. Well, the truth of the matter is, if you just take the time to actually have a genuine interest in the individuals that are around you, whether it be just some acquaintance, maybe you're on a business trip and you just happen to come across somebody, you shake their hand. Maybe you're like me and you're terrible at remembering names. That is a skill to be had, right? With that said, there is intrinsic value in having the capability to remember an individual's name. Why? It's because people are wrapped up in themselves. Taking the time to even just ask a simple question such as, your name is Mike. Do you prefer Michael or Mike or what do you prefer? I have an old family friend who's I'd kind of consider my Torah dad, right? But anyways, his name's Philip. Everybody calls him Phil, and we all kind of called him Papa Phil, right? Loved the man. Phenomenal musician, great voice, amazing heart after the Father, all the things. But anyways, one day I had a conversation with him. He's like, yeah, everybody calls me Phil, but I've always preferred Philip. And from that day on, I've always called him Philip. It's little things that people appreciate, that win them over. It's the idea of how to win friends, not make friends, win friends. And the context there is completely different. Making a friendship versus winning a friendship. You're winning someone over. It's much more genuine as long as you are genuine in in your approach. Like, hey, how do you like to be called? Or how exactly do you pronounce your name? You know, you see the terrible name case, but you know, you see the dude behind the counter at Brahms or at Walmart or whatever, and you see their name tag and it says, you're like, Eugene, how do you pronounce your name? Oh, it's Eugene. Oh, okay. Very cool. Very cool. Nice to meet you, Eugene. How long have you worked here at Walmart? And then you begin to perpetuate this conversation about them. See, because the truth of the matter is, we can learn so much if we just put back our own assumptions that we know more than everybody else. You know, there's a lot to the subject, but I think it's profound. You know, like I said before, the Father, he withholds judgment until a day that is coming. So why don't we withhold casting our judgment on people? It's not fair. It's not righteous. And at the end of the day, we might just actually learn something, or we might actually generate or create a relationship that you might need in the future. You know, because you never know what doors another individual can open for you. I'll leave you with that. If you haven't read it, please read it. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Shalom.